railroad company, Detroit Lima Northern, versus a maker for the house. What research?
Those rollers smash those ridges down to a flat poly surface. And give you a good journal surface for the bearing line. Yeah. It's like a normal jig. You got a bearing and a roll. Just you're in and out. And that's an example bearing. That's actually a crown brass that would went on a driving axle on a locomotive. Similar idea, just a different shape. Last axle we did this, we have a replica car we've been building from they're designed with a certain amount of extra material in them, so as they wear, you can machine them down a few times before you have to take them off and replace them again. And that's what this machine is for, is reprofiling that tread. So pretty typical in the steam locomotive shop. There's quite a few of them around the country still in the bigger shops that are in use. Again, we really hardly ever use this one. I think it's been used 3 or 4 times maybe in its time in the building. Shapers were pretty typical in machine shops in general back then, especially before the more modern milling machines came about. So this one actually cuts on the draw stroke. So you have a ram that goes in and out. The tool cutter here can actually pivot, so it'll take the cut on the draw stroke, and as it comes back over the piece, it'll skip over the piece so it can rock in and get out of the way. The tool will go back down and pick it up. So if you notice, the tool actually skips up and over the bars every time it in there and out, and then it'll fall back in place and take the next pass.
Within your reach. And right now we're leaving the Firestone Station, and let's wave goodbye to our station master Amy. Thank you, Amy. And we're now beginning a 30-minute trip around the inside perimeter of Greenfield Village. We will be making 2 stops along the way. Districts, and we're entering the first district right now. This is the Henry Ford Model T district. And that white farmhouse on our left is the birthplace of Henry Ford. He was born in one of the upstairs bedrooms on July 30th of 1863. Now, Henry was the oldest of 6 children in the Ford family. Then, while he was born on a farm and raised on a farm, he didn't like farm work. So he wound up leaving the farm at the age of 16 so he could work in the machine shops of Detroit Thomas Edison to your left. He's seated there. And he's probably thinking about his next invention. Or he might be wondering what is the flavor of the day at the frozen custard shop directly in front of it. Now that large gray colored building on our left is the next door to the boarding house is the Fort Myers Laboratory. And this is where Edison continued to do research and development while living in Florida. In fact, it was right next to his Fort Myers home. And we're now entering our porches and parlors district. And the gateway to the district is the Hecla Covered Bridge. Built in 1832, a number of homes that individuals have lived in over the years. And some of these people have been rather well known, such as Linda Burbank, Noah Webster, and William McGuffey. Now you might be wondering, what is the oldest building here? The Clinton family home. It's a reddish-colored building. It's the oldest American-made home in the village, built in 1640. It was located in South Sudbury, Massachusetts, and 2 adults and 7 children once lived in that building. And here's the Ferris windmill, the oldest windmill in the U.S., built in the mid-1600s on the north shore of Cape Cod. And here's the Gaggett farmhouse, built in 1754 in Belfry, Connecticut. It's an example of rural living in colonial America. And here's our horse pasture area to the left. This is where we bring our horses after they've been pulling wagons and carriages. They have a chance to rest off and get ready for the next day's work. It's the oldest regularly operating steam locomotive in the United States. It was built in 1873 and was originally used in Michigan's Upper Peninsula by the Calumet and Hecla Mining Company. They would use it to move railroad cars loaded with copper ore. Now the Torch Lake weighs in at 35 tons. It can hold up to 1,200 gallons of water in the tender, along with 1 ton of coal. Now across the road on the right-hand side is the Ford Motor Company test track. And I was hearing some Mustangs running around those tracks earlier today. Now you might have noticed our locomotive blowing some steam out of the side. And that's what we call a blowdown. And they do that a few times during the course of each lap around the village. And what they're trying to do there is to blow out the impurities and scale that cleared up inside the boiler. We're now coming into the Oxbow area. This is a land acre nature preserve where the Wills River in its natural condition. And you'll see a portion of the river on the right-hand side below us. And you'll notice it does have natural riverbanks down there. And you're about to hear the signal that our engineer will give as we approach a railroad crossing. And that signal is 2 long blasts on the horn, 1 short blast, and 1 long blast. Garbage can lid, and we call him Godzilla. Now as we pass the lagoon, you'll see the Martha Mary Chapel to your left. This is a non-denominational chapel that's often used for weddings here in Greenfield Village. Henry Ford had the chapel built in 1929, and he then named it after his mother, Mary Ford, and his mother-in-law, Martha Bryan. Right now we're passing the Taste of History.
Henry Ford brought this here in 1929, a gunny depot from all over the country. Across the street is our Edison Illuminating Power Plant from Detroit, where young Henry Ford had his first professional job as chief steam engineer. We also have the Detroit Toledo Milwaukee Roundhouse in front of us, built in year 2000, made to look like one from Marshall, Michigan back in 1884. In front of it sits the Pierre Marquette table built in 1901. The Sporting Thompson, that's how we get our locomotives in and out of the roundhouse. Speaking of locomotives, that locomotive on the side there is called the number 7, made by Baldwin Locomotive Works, built in 1897. When Henry Ford owned the Detroit Toledo Ironton Railway while he was building the museum and village, this was the locomotive that was pulling the train. He sold the rest of the cars but kept the locomotive for his personal use. Roundhouses like this have disappeared with the advent of the diesel electric. We have one. Here you can see the farmhouse on your right. That's the birthplace of Harvey Firestone, built in 1828. He's the person who supplied Henry Ford with tires from the Model T cars from Columbia, Ohio. Our staff are working just like they did back in the 1880s, using similar tools and implements on this working farm. We would have had that in the 1880s. The winter wheat has just been harvested last week. Crops are growing in the field. Those are heirloom quality, meaning that those are seeds that were passed on from generation to generation. We are now coming into our Firestone farm, Firestone station. Please remain seated. The engineer will set a brand, giving us the sound of a single whistle, letting us know it's safe to come off the train. Should you be boarding here, you're exiting off to your right side. If you are getting off here, you're a short way from the Firestone farm. Go stop in and see what they're preparing for their midday meal. Or to Liberty Craft Works. Just cross the tracks, go to the covered bridge off onto the left side, or crossing the tracks, stay to the right, and take a ride on the Model T.